All right. Hello, everyone. And I am very excited today to be speaking with Chris Ellison, who's the Vice President of Revenue at Brittain Resorts. Chris, thank you for being my second ever guest on this podcast.
Emmanuel, it's an honor. Happy to be here.
All right. So you're based in Myrtle Beach. Weather is good today?
Not today, which we're not complaining too much. We had probably close to 10 days of a heat wave of excessive 100+ degree temperatures. We're okay with a little bit of a break.
Okay. Yeah, no kidding. That's crazy hot. Canada here is much cooler, but nicer, actually, I think right now, survivable. But I'm going to get into our questions right now. So tell me, how did you get into hospitality? And tell me about your current role, please.
Sure. So, living in Myrtle Beach, I somehow stumbled into the hospitality career, right?
Yeah.
It was my summer after my senior year of high school. Had plans of going to college and becoming a lawyer. I wasn't that great at school, so why I thought more school was the option. I was working at a grocery store at the time, and a bunch of us were, right? In high school, a bunch of my buddies and I, we worked at a grocery store, and slowly, one at a time, they all left, and I was the last man standing. One of my friends that was working there got a job at what I thought was a small motel here in Myrtle Beach. He'd been working there for a few months. His aunt got him a job, and it was one night over the summer. He had to stop by this little motel that I thought to pick something up, and he said, "Well, let's stop by the hotel real quick, and then we'll go do whatever it is we were doing that night." We get there and we pull up this massive resort. I'm thinking, this place is phenomenal. I was like, I didn't know you worked at this kind of place. We went inside. Everyone was so nice. Hey, how are you? And it was just, I kind of really, I don't want to say fell in love. I don't want to over dramatize, right, my experience there, but I go to this large resort. I'm thinking, this is where you work? This place is great. You have to get me a job here. Sure enough, within a week or so, the assistant general manager said, hey, he was a bellman at the time, said, we're looking to add a new bellman. Do you know anyone that's interested? I said, well, actually, I do, right? So he set me up with an interview. I interviewed, got the job, and that's how I entered the hospitality industry as a bellman right out of high school. Just kind of stumbled my way into it.
Wow. And then you've parlayed that from bellman to vice president of revenue at a large resort management company.
So interesting story. That hotel at the time, and still is, was a Brittain property.
Okay.
So I actually started my career with the Brittins, worked my way up through that hotel for a few years, left for a while, came back, worked there for a little bit, and then that's where I was working with my predecessor that we were talking about earlier. Left for a little bit longer and came back, and I'm here on my third stint. Hopefully, what I plan to be my last stint, we'll call it my forever stint.
Congratulations. So how many properties are under your remit from a revenue perspective?
So we are managing just north of 20 different properties, primarily in the Myrtle Beach market, Myrtle Beach area, the Grand Strand area. We've got around 8 properties in some Florida markets as well, a little West Coast and East Coast, as well as some in the Keys.
Got it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a lot of work, I'm sure. Well, on that topic of work and trying to make it more streamlined, are there any ways you're experimenting with AI yourself in your role or in the revenue sort of team or other parts of the business, guest experience, operations, whatever you want to talk about?
Yeah, we are where we can, right? And what I mean by that is there's a lot of companies out there, which I'm sure you've experienced too, that just add AI to the end of whatever it is that they're doing. That's the same product they've had for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
But now they're just tagging it as AI and saying, we've got AI, and they're charging a little bit more for it. So we're using AI where I can, right? We're using an RMS, which is not AI in the traditional sense, right? It's the RMSs are getting more and more integrated with AI, but it's more machine learning, which I guess is kind of the same thing. But from a revenue management perspective, we're absolutely leaning into RMS. Guest service, guest contact, right? There's a few companies that we're working with, particularly at the call center, some of the guest messaging. We're using AI everywhere we can, right? Just like everyone is these days. Yeah. But we're also very careful in saying what is and is not AI, right? Just because something is slightly automated or more automated than it was a year ago doesn't make it AI. But everywhere we can, everywhere it makes sense to, we use AI. Where we are careful, though, is in that guest contact space. It does make sense to use AI sometimes, but remembering that we are in hospitality, and sometimes it takes a person, a human being, to show that hospitality that we are trying to offer. So we are careful there, right? It's we want to automate as much as we can. There's usually cost savings there, but also keeping in mind that, hey, we're in hospitality for a reason. Let's show them what hospitality is, and let's make sure we are still giving a human to human contact when that guest is looking for that, but also
Yes.
automating when that guest is not.
I completely agree with you. 70% of our inquiries, and there's a lot of inquiries on Jetstream because we have about 6,000 listings, are sort of, is there a pool? Does the barbecue work? This kind of stuff.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
That kind of stuff. So we're building AI to answer that. But the other 30%, the really high value stuff, we don't want AI to be touching that. We want our humans to be touching that, right? So I'm sure you guys are seeing this exact same thing.
100%, and that's important, right? These people are booking vacation for us, particularly. Like, we are very heavy in leisure markets. It's vacation. It's their own money, right? Particularly when there's a challenge that pops up, they want human interaction. They want it solved, and they want it solved quickly. They don't want prompts just trying to navigate through, what am I supposed to tell this automated messaging system? I really just need to speak with a human, because a human's going to be able to correct it or fix it or address it in just a matter of moments, compared to following these prompts to finally just get directed to a human, right?
Yeah, I completely agree. Well, my final question, which I love so much, if I gave you a magic wand to fix one challenge with how your properties are currently listed or sold today, what would you fix first?
There's so many, but this has been a hot, I shouldn't want to say hot topic. This has been something we've really been focusing on lately, is Meta, how we are appearing in Meta. And I like Meta. I think our meta search is very important, and prevents the guest from having to explore several different options, right? You think about 10, 15 years ago, you had to have several different tabs open. You had to look at this website, that website, direct, all the OTAs. Meta solves for a lot of that. But where I think it's gone, I don't want to say too far, maybe that's not the right word, but where it gets a little bit confusing is a lot of these wholesalers and B2B that pop up there. And you've got your website up there. You've got the big OTAs, Expedia, Booking, Priceline, and they're all very similar or matching what you're at. And then you have all these other ones that no one's ever heard of that are significantly lower. And the guest clicks on it, and they go 3 or 4 steps down the rabbit hole, only to find out that it's nowhere close to what was originally quoted. So if I could fix one thing, right, overnight, or what the like said, a magic wand, it would be that. Because what's happening is it erodes consumer trust, right? It's everyone used to say, book with us for the cheapest rate. And I think now the main message that I'm seeing is book with confidence. And if you find a lower rate, we'll be able to match it, or we'll fix it, right? We'll take care of it. If we're not the lowest rate, we'll do what we can to make it right. But when you see all these wholesalers that aren't offering a true rate, like I said, it erodes that consumer confidence. And now they're just confused. Now it just goes back to the old days of, well, now I do need to check every single website to make sure that the rate that I'm seeing on Meta truly is the rate that I'm going to get. And it slows down the booking process. It creates opportunities for that guest to try and find a different place, right? Because they're going down the rabbit hole and they're on this channel now, and they see another property that's similar or close and say, that looks like a better rate. So giving a more transparent rate at the beginning of the meta search, and getting rid of a lot of and getting rid of isn't maybe the right word, but just providing that transparency to guests that stick with the channels, right? It's some people just prefer this OTA, even if the price is the same, they might prefer that OTA versus booking direct. And that's okay. There's a place for that. But just giving them the confidence that if you've not heard of that brand before, it's probably good to stay away from it, right? Go through the channels you're comfortable with, the channels that you're used to. Those are going to give you the biggest bang for your buck and give you that confidence that if it's not the lowest rate, they're going to make it right for me.
Got it. Very interesting point that I had not considered before. This seems to be something like the meta channels themselves need to fix.
I think so.
I think so.
Because we can't, right?
That's right.
We contact Google, we contact TripAdvisor, and they're not in the business, and not in a bad way, of building our complaints to make sure our listing, right? It's people have access to Meta, and they're displaying the rates that they're able to display. So there's not a lot we can do on our side. It 100% falls on the side of Meta.
Okay. Well, Chris, I really appreciate your insight. Congratulations on your career and the growth of your career. And thanks again for being on the podcast.
Absolutely. Truly an honor. Thank you for having me.